Every nation has to make these huge decisions about its future, but some of the biggest choices hit really close to home. Like, what language should our kids learn in? Now, this isn't just about grammar books and vocabulary lists. Nope. It's about identity, it's about opportunity, and it's about the very fabric of a society. So today, we're going to unpack Malaysia's really high-stakes balancing act in its great language debate. It seems like such a simple question, right? But the answer is anything but. The language that's used in the classroom, well, it shapes a nation's identity, its economy, and the future of every single student who walks through those doors. Okay, let's dive in. For decades now, Malaysia has been walking this incredible tightrope. They're trying to balance national pride with global ambition. I mean, how do you honor your own culture while also making sure your kids are ready for a globalized world? And, maybe most importantly, how do you make sure every single child gets a fair shot? This is a story of some really big ambitions and even bigger trade-offs. So, to really get what's going on here, we have to be on the same page with a key term: language, policy, and education. This is way more than just deciding which language to teach. It's about a government deciding which languages are used for everything in schools, teaching, learning, all of it. It's an educational choice for sure, but it has some really deep political and social roots. And here's where it gets really tricky. This is the core of the challenge. Policymakers are basically in a constant tug-of-war between three goals that are often competing with each other. You've got national identity, global competitiveness, and social equity. If you pull too hard on one, you risk weakening the others. It's this incredibly delicate dance, and there are no easy steps. Because of that tug-of-war, Malaysia's language policy has looked a lot like a pendulum. First, a big swing towards English, then a swing all the way back to the national language, and finally, a search for some kind of stable middle ground. Let's start with that first big swing, the one towards English. So back in 2003, Malaysia took this huge leap of faith. It was an experiment, really, designed to fast-track its students into the global economy. It was called the PPSMI policy. The logic behind it was pretty straightforward. The world of science and technology, well, it speaks English. So the thinking was, if Malaysian students are going to compete on the world stage, they need to speak it too. The goal was to open up all these doors to international knowledge. But the big question was, would it end up closing doors for some people back home? It was a really powerful idea, but the reality on the ground was way more complicated. And the question on everyone's mind started to be, was this new policy creating a level playing field, or was it actually creating a new kind of divide? Well, pretty quickly, a really significant gap started to appear. You had urban students, who often had more resources and more exposure to English, and a lot of them thrived. But then you had many rural students. For them, science and math class suddenly became this really difficult language lesson, which put them at a huge disadvantage. As you can imagine, the backlash against this growing gap was pretty swift. The pendulum swung back hard, and this time, Malaysia looked to its roots for a new solution. And this policy shift was a total reversal. I mean, a complete 180. Science and math were taken out of English and put right back into Bahasa Melayu. A whole new chapter in this debate had just begun. The new policy was called MBMIB, and its mission was right there in the name, to uphold the Malay language and to strengthen the English language. So you see, this wasn't about choosing one language over the other. It was all about trying to find a new kind of balance. The whole strategy just shifted. The new plan was to build a really strong foundation in the national language first, and then build on top of that with high-quality English instruction. Think of it like a solid core, with a powerful global skill layered right on top. But of course, the debate was far from over. With this pendulum just swinging from one extreme to the other, the search for a middle ground, a more flexible compromise, really began. And that's when the Dual Language Program, or DLP, came into the picture in 2016. The real game changer here? It was optional. Schools that felt they were ready could opt in to teach in English, but it wasn't a mandatory one-size-fits-all policy anymore. But here's the catch. Being ready wasn't a simple yes or no question. It came with a really strict checklist. Everything from having proficient teachers to getting strong support from parents to just having the right resources. And hidden in that checklist was a new potential problem, a new kind of inequality. And just like that, a brand new question popped up.
If only the schools with the most resources can choose to offer English instruction, are you accidentally creating a two-tiered system? Does giving schools a choice actually widen the very gap you were trying to close?
So that brings us more or less to the present day, with this debate still going strong. But here's the thing to remember. Malaysia's struggle, it isn't unique. It's actually a reflection of a global challenge, a debate that's playing out in classrooms all over the world. I mean, you can look all around the world and see different solutions. You've got Singapore's bilingual model, Canada's immersion programs, Finland's dual language system. Each one is a different path, and each one comes with its own set of trade-offs. There's just no magic bullet. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It says every language policy decision involves these complex trade-offs between educational outcomes, social equity, and cultural considerations. It really is a high-stakes balancing act. Ultimately, Malaysia's journey teaches us all a really valuable lesson. There is no perfect answer. The search for the right balance isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. It's this continuous process of learning and adapting and always trying to build a better future for every student. Which leaves us with a huge question, one that every nation has to face. In this constant quest for progress, what is the right price of language? And maybe more importantly, who pays it? That's a question that Malaysia and the rest of the world is still trying to answer.